Now more on the UK government's furlough scheme, which the Chancellor announced changes to yesterday. He said from August, employers will have to pay national insurance and pension contributions, and they'll also have to pay 10% of pay from September, rising to 20% in October. So what impact will this have on employers and small businesses? We can speak to Alan Price, who is CEO of BrightHR, a software and HR advisory based in Manchester. Alan, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
What is your view of these announcements? What impact will they have?
Like a lot of the Chancellor's announcements, the devil's in the detail. And with this announcement, we don't yet have the full details of the flexible furlough scheme. We've got some basic details, and we'll get more on the 12th of June. But there's a lot of guidance out there for small businesses, and they're not sure how to navigate it.
And so we've heard a lot in the past 24 hours or so about the impact on the hospitality sector, because it is possibly going to be the very last to be allowed to reopen again, and that raises the question of what on earth employers are going to use to pay their staff with August, September, October and thereafter.
That's the challenge. The small businesses that we're speaking to in that sector don't plan to reopen until later in the year, and therefore the 5% that was announced yesterday and the further contributions from small employers is coming from an empty pot. They don't have cash of money to be able to pay this to their employees, but they do want to retain them, which ultimately is the aim of the scheme. But you've only got to look at the government guidance for COVID Secure to reopen the workplace. There's over 500 pages for small employees and small business owners to read through. That's not practical to get them back to work.
So what do you think should happen next? I mean, one of the things that we have seen is that the government has been able to listen to the views at some points on economic policy as this crisis has unfolded. What should they be listening to now?
A lot of the clients we've spoken to would have liked to have seen a different industry-specific sectoring of the payments. So if you were in, let's say, for example, the hospitality industry, you would have had 80% furlough maybe to October or November. So that industry-specific support is missing from the current announcement. And again, practical guidance to get back to work, 1 or 2 pages rather than hundreds and hundreds of guidance pages, which normally tend to come out on a Friday evening.
I mean, there'll be some people, Alan, I imagine that viewers will fall into different camps on this. There'll be those who are really seriously at risk of losing their businesses and those who are at risk of losing their jobs. And then on the other side of a fence, if there is one, there'll be some taxpayers who say, do you know what, this is all going to have to be paid for at some point. Some of these jobs may not ever come back. We shouldn't be prolonging the misery and supporting this forever, because it's going to fall on the rest of the economy year after year after year. What would you say to those people?
Both employees and employers and taxpayers want certainty. The scheme gives us that, but the economy is going to need a jump start, and small businesses are the backbone of the UK economy, and they need that support, and it will be repaid both in tax and corporation rates as those small businesses get back on their feet. But some industries are worse affected, and they do need a little bit longer on that life support the Chancellor talks about.
Alan, thanks so much. We're going to have to leave it there for now.